Okay, this is Door Crown Part 3, and I'm going to continue with my shapes and such, but I'm going to continue on the actual board here. Alright, let me set this up. So we'll just do, hopefully I'm not knocking my cord too much here, and now you're not rocking and rolling. Alright, so I'm going to review just with the red stroke work here. I'm using my 6 and my red earth, and if you remember, one of the techniques that I can do is dot in my color for the entire length of the stroke so that you're able to pull that along. So let's just pull this along here. This is just really a quick review, and I'm just going to pull my brush all the way in down to the sepal. And if you need to add a little medium to it to help you along, by all means do so. If you're doing this in oils, you'll be using either Venetian red or English red. Okay, let's pull this all the way down to here. Let's do another one. Pull it all the way down to here. Let's just pull it in and around. Then I'm going to do this little sister stroke that comes in. I'm doing thick to thin. If you are more comfortable going thin to thick, then by all means you can do thin to thick and follow along. And actually I'm going to do thin to thick to get my bumps off the back here. So I'm going to just push those bristles down and push those bristles down. Here we go. Down again, and let's bring it around some more. Alright. Okay, very good. And then I'm going to continue the red because I have more scrolls that are going to occur here. Let's see. So I'm going to push my brush down. I'm going to pull it around, and I want it to come so it rides off the top of that scroll there, because you want to be able to follow it all the way down to the sepal there. Okay? So let's do that again. Take that, I'm going to pull it around and pull it down. I'm going to have one red sister stroke there. I'm going to pull that down and around. Okay, and we'll go to the last red scroll, which is right here. You can again dot it in if you need to. Push your brush down, pull it around. And there it goes right off the top there. And this one actually just has the one red that comes around like this. Okay, so we're going to let that dry. That's your understroke or your base stroke. I'm going to clean out my brush. I can use the same brush with this. And I'm going to dip into my raw sienna here. Okay. And I'm going to pull 2 strokes of raw sienna down below here. And I'm not worried. If you see, I'm not following the lines of my tracing paper here, or my tracing lines. I'm not too worried about it, simply because I can erase that and it doesn't have the right flow with it. I don't like how that bumps out, so you know, you can change it along the way. All right, let's go down to this one. So where this one has two, this is the thicker scroll, it's the heavier scroll. This one we're getting thinner, so I'm only going to put one yellow off of that. That's the raw sienna. I'm going to let that dry. So since I have yellow going on my brush here, I'm going to go to this flower here, which I'm going to base in the raw sienna. I'm just making sure I can see what I'm doing. Okay, actually I'm going to flip it over here, and I'm going to start with this one. Okay, I'm going to do a C. I'm going to do an S. I have a little red on that. I didn't get all the red off when I cleaned it out. That's okay. Remember, it's your understroke. We're going to get your C in there. Do another C. Then I have, whoops, sorry about that. I needed to charge, so I keep knocking the cord, so I apologize. I don't want you guys to get seasick out there. Do a C. Do an S. Do a C. And we're going to come back here. We have an S. An S. C. C, and then we're just going to even this out. Remember, this is your undercoat. You're going to work on top of this after it dries. Okay, so I have that in, and then I'm going to continue with my yellow, my raw sienna, because I have, actually I have to flip it this way. So I have a raw sienna here. So we get this guy in. All right, let's finish that. Just kind of bring it around. And you're doing your understrokes here. We're going to come around, and we have this one. It's a little bit of a rough angle here, so that's okay. We'll go a little sideways. Okay. And pull that in. All right. So these can kind of set up and dry a little bit. So in the meantime, while that dries, and this is all very similar to what we did on the other side when I demonstrated this in the prior video. Okay, so while I'm letting that dry, and you can use a hairdryer actually to speed up the process, but we'll come back to that. All right, let me flip this way. I'm going to move on to my blue. So that blue is burnt sienna, not burnt sienna. Well, no, it is burnt sienna. Prussian blue and burnt sienna. I would say do a combination 2 to 1 Prussian blue to burnt sienna, and then you can adjust from there. And then your light is, you add your either warm white if you are doing acrylics, or titanium white if you are doing oils. So if you see, I have a nice C stroke that's coming in, and it's okay if I'm overlapping the red there. And I'm going to do another little bump there. Remember, push it down, thick to thin, thick to thin, and pull it around. So, and then, since I still have my straight blue on, I'm going to come here, and I'm going to base in these strokes here. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, I'm going to then wipe off some of the blue, not take it all off, And I'm going to tip into the light blue. And now I'm going to come back here. And I'm going to put a stroke in like that, wipe a little off, and then blend it in. Blend it in, there we go. Isn't that pretty? A little bit of white on the brush, and then come in and just pull a nice long comma stroke in there. Alright, I'm going to come back to this part. I'm going to add a little more of the dark blue there. Oop, add a little white in there, that's okay. I'm not going to sweat that. I'll just do a little more dark blue on there, okay? I'm going to tip into the white, and I'm going to go down here. And we're just going to work our way back up again. Okay, a little blob. We'll take that little blob out. Easier to push the paint in than pull it out onto the green. Okay. There we go. And just work your way around. Alright, so I have blue on my brush. I'm going to continue with my blue. Let me just see how long this is. Yep, and we're doing well on the time here. Alright, so I'm going to turn it this way. Alright, and now I'm going to take that nice dark blue and follow that S stroke around. It's 2 S strokes. I want to make sure it looks like it's coming off of there. Okay. Right? And then the inside of that is going to be a little lighter. So again, tip into the lighter blue. We're just going to do 1. Okay, and 2. There we go. Again, I like to pull my brush strokes towards me, so that's why I keep adjusting. And I have this other blue stroke that's coming out of here, so it's a bump there. I do have a little white on it. That's okay, because that's what's supposed to be there, so I'm not too worried. Okay. I'm going to tip into a little white there. And just bounce 1 and 2. Okay, 1, 2. Not worried if it's a little ragged. We're going to come back to that. Alright. So now let's go back to our yellows here, because we can work on them and then work on these flowers. Okay. So I'm coming back to this flower here. Oh, I just realized what I did. So I put raw sienna on this, but this is actually going to be carbon black, so I'm not going to put another coat of yellow in there. But I am going to come to my S stroke here. So nice and dark there. Do the same on the other side. Okay. Now I am pushing the brush away from me. Typically I don't do that. Okay, but for demonstration's sake, so I'm not flipping it all over. So this is still the raw sienna here. And remember, I'm thin to thick. Now I'm going to tip into the yellow oxide, and if you're working with oils, that's yellow ochre. Just gonna lighten that up there, blend it in. Going to blend out and then blend in, and then on the center there I'm going to, on the longest part, have the raw sienna. Then I'm going to have yellow oxide, again yellow ochre if you are working in oils. Blend that in. Then my lightest color here, I'm going to go with Turner's Yellow, which would be yellow ochre with titanium white blended in. Okay, and I'm just blending it together here. Isn't that pretty? Okay. So now my brush still has the yellow in it. I'm going to tip into my white. Okay. And I'm going to get some nice long strokes here and give these petals a little definition. My white's getting a little dry, so I'm going to add a little more to my palette. I don't need a lot. When I put it on my palette, it literally, I just put a dot in there. Okay, so tip in again. Let me go to this side. I'm going to push the brush down and pull it around and bring it to the sepal there. Okay. Turn it this way. Whoops, making rockin' and rollin' again. Oh, sorry about that. I'm going to take the brush and I'm going to just push down and pull it up. Okay. Flipping again because I want to just get a nice stroke here. I'm pushing my brush down, then pulling it around. And we're almost done with this. I'm going to do a little bump here, a little bump here. Same on the other side. Little bump, little bump. Okay. Now I still have yellow on my brush. I could have done this before. I flip it the right way here so I do it correctly. I have a rounded part here. This is the flower underneath. Rounded part here. And I'm going to brush in this C and an S. Okay, C and an S there. Then I have a triplet here. So there's 1, 2, hi Reuben. Here's my Reuben. And 3. Okay. This is looking good. While that dries, come back to these. Now remember, when you're watching these, you can stop it at any point, reverse to look. I did raw sienna on that one. I'm tipping into yellow oxide on this one and just bring it down. Then I'm going to tip into white and just do another one right there to tie it all together and bring it down. Okay. Then on here, I'm going to do a little yellow oxide on top and just pull that down, tip into white and pull it down. Okay. Then we have these guys again. Again, a lot of flipping of this. It's easier when you're working on a plate or something like this. This is a little bit cumbersome to work on, but it works. Here, so we have our raw sienna. I'm going to go back over this one and pull around. Okay. There, and then I'm going to tip into the yellow oxide and get this lighter end here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. flip over this way. And then pull a nice little white stroke just down like that. Well, a little cumbersome, but that's okay. Alright. Check my time here. Okay, I'm going to stop here. I'll come back to these flowers and we'll be back.